Hello guys, and welcome back to my channel. It's your boy Drop Code, and in our previous video we talked about the database relationships, and in this video we're going to be taking a look at our controllers and the main logic of the application. We're going to start by building out the registration area of the application, which is we are going to test later on in the video, making use of our postman API testing application. So to get started, the first thing we're going to do is to create a database, to create a controller actually. So we're going to create a controller. Make sure you're in your server directory. So you do the Adonis make controller. Then we're going to make a controller for the company and press enter. It's going to pop up a question and ask us if we're going to use HTTP request or web circuits. We choose HTTP request. So now it has created a controller for us inside the controllers directory in the app folder, which we have here. Then we have company controller. So what's the point of having a controller? Controllers are supposed to help us handle our HTTP requests coming into the server backend of our application. So we receive that request through our controller, then manipulate the data being given to us, then send it to our database model, which is also going to reach out to our database, then make transactions and return back to the controller. Then from the controller, we now return it back to the front end, which is going to be our view. So that's the point of having controllers. So but today we're going to be dealing with our company controller, which is going to contain our registration of the company and also the admin user, and it's also going to we're also going to be using this controller to edit our company and also our company data, that is updates. Then we're also going to display a user's particular company. So to get started, the first thing we have to do now is to import our user model so we can make use of that in this controller. So in order to import our user model, all we need to do is create a constant, call it user, then equals to, then we're going to use, sorry for the noise, rain is falling right now over here. Then we're going to go into the models slash, then we need the user model, and that's it. So with this little piece of code, we have been able to bring in the user model, which we're going to be using in this controller. So the first thing we're going to do now is to display a user's company. So once a user logs in and goes into the company info area in his dashboard, he should be able to see all the details of the company which is working for, or the company which this current logged in staff belongs to. So in order to display that, we're going to create a method which is going to handle that request which we're going to receive. And it's important to know that that request is going to be a get request. We are not posting anything to the front end. We are not collecting data from the front end. We are just we're just requesting from database and giving it back to the user to view in the front end. So we use async here. It's important, and it's also important to note that Adonisjs Vuejs makes use of async await instead of promises here. So it's important to note that index. So before you start your method, you need to put in the async. Then when making a request when making a request to database or something like that, you make use of the await, so you can get back a response. So we have response, and we also have the auth. So inside we're going to say const user equals to await, then auth dot get the particular logged in user. It's going to grab that user for us. Sorry about that. we're going to grab that user first, then we want to get the company of that user. If you remember in the previous video, while creating our database relationships in the user model, let me quickly open that up for you guys. Now user.js, we had a company method here, which is going to help us get the relationship between that logged in user and the company which the user belongs to. So now we are going to be making use of that model in our controller to fetch the particular company the currently logged in user belongs to. So in order to do that, we say await then the user which we just retrieved, current logged in user dot the company method in our model, then dot fetch. That's going to help us fetch the company that user belongs to. So then we're going to return the company back to the user, because that's what he wants to see. So we're going to return that back to the user. So we are done with our first method in Adonisjs. This is the first logic we are going to be writing in this tutorial series, and I'm really glad that you guys are following up till now, and I want to really appreciate you for tuning in to watch this video, and hope you're learning as much as you expected. So now, in order for us to make use of this method, we're going to need a route. So that route is what our front end is going to hit. Then once it hits that API route, it's going to automatically come into the controller and request for this method. Then the method will now do whatever logic which we've written inside and return the value as a response. So in order to do that, we're going to go into our start folder, which is below the node modules folder. Into our start folder, then we have what we call the routes.js. So inside the routes.js, we already have a sample route here. We already have a sample route there. So that sample route, it's also a get function. It's supposed to help us get the first page. And in order to view what this route is displaying in your server directory, all you need to do is Adonis serve --dev. That's going to save the Adonisjs files, and it's going to create an HTTP which we can copy and reach out to. Let me just click on that. It's going to open up, and as you can see, as a get route, it's going to fetch the greetings method, the greetings object, then the value that's inside of that get request. So that's what a route does. Normally we're supposed to be making routes for pages, but since we're using a front end, all we need is an API route, which we're going to be making use of for our own tutorial purposes. So now we're going to just remove this route because we're not going to use that. So the first route we're going to create is C routes. Then it's going to be a get request to company. So this company right now is basically the name of our route. So all we need to do is /company, then it goes straight there. Then the controller we're trying to target, that's company controller. We're targeting our company controller, and which method are we trying to target inside of the company controller? We're targeting the index method which we just created. So now once our front end hits this route, all it's going to do is go to the company controller and look for a method called index which we just created, and it's going to do whatever logic is inside of that method. So as of now, this method is just supposed to help us print a user's company, but it's not going to work now. I think it's going to give us, we don't even have a current user, we don't have any data in our database, so this route is not going to work. But let's just leave it here for now, then we'll be using that in the future. The next route I would like us to create is going to be our store method, next method I mean. So we have our sync, then store. The store is going to create more than, is going to receive more than a response and auth as we have here. Our store instead is going to receive a request because we are receiving data from our front end in this method. So we're going to have a request, then we're going to return a response, and we open up that method. So inside of the method, this method is supposed to help us handle our form data, which we're going to use to register a company and also an admin user in the front end. So in order to do that, we need to validate our values, and in order to validate our values, we need to install what we call the validator, the Adonisjs validator. And to do that, I've already installed mine, but I'm going to show you guys how to install the validator. So all you need is Adonis install, then Adonisjs validator. The commands for this installation is going to be put up on the screen right now for you guys to see clearly. So we have that. Once you put that in your terminal, in your server directory, don't forget, once you do that, it should install the Adonisjs validator for you. The next thing you need to do is to copy this code right here, which I'm going to show you now in a bit. You copy the code, then go back to your Visual Studio Code or any code editor you're using currently, and go over to your start folder, and inside of there, enter into the app.js. There you find the providers, then you add the provider here, which I already did. I'm going to add it again for the sake of this tutorial. So you add that provider, that string of line of code inside your provider, and make sure there's a comma before adding that line of code. So once you've done that, you're ready to go. So now, in order to validate our forms, we need to create some rules. So we're going to say const rules, which is going to be equal to our rules, which we're going to use to validate every field. And the first field we want to validate is the company name, which is going to be required, and also a string. Sorry for that. Also a string. Then we're going to have a couple of these values. Let me just drop them down there for the ones that are needed. The comma here. Sorry, just quickly do that, comma. Then here we're going to have company. We have the email. Then here we have the company phone. So for the email, we're going to have email here, and it's also going to be a unique email, and the table that is going to be unique too. So it has to check a particular table for you to validate the email. So we want you to check the company's table. In order for you to get the name of your table, which is going to be companies, if you follow through the tutorial, it's check your phpMyAdmin database this thing app. So on your system, you just open up your phpMyAdmin, then go to your database which you created. That is the staff_management_db. Inside there, you should see the companies table, which is going to look exactly like this, companies. Then add that there. But if you did something different, you can go over there and check out what your own company is going to be. So after that, we're going to put back the company underscore email. So we're going to check the company's table, which is going to use to validate the current input email. Then it's going to check the company email in the database to validate this one. So if you find any other email that is similar to the current request, it's going to return an error back that there's already a user with that email. So that's exactly what this is going to do. So we have the phone also. Let me quickly look at, let me go and look at the company schema so we can see the complete details. We have company email, name, email, phone, industry, address. Those are the not nullable values. Address, then what's the last one? Industry. So the remaining values that are nullable are not going to be part of the rules, because we're not expecting a request value for those other inputs. So the next thing we're going to do now is the company admin user rules, which are going to be coming through the request. So we're going to add that as the first name, which is also going to be required, and a string. Then we also have the last name, then email. Let's make this a phone of the user. Then we can just duplicate this, then break that down here and call this email, which is the user email. Required email. Then here we want to check the users table. Then here is going to be email. So we have that done. So we have first name, last name, phone, email. What other fields are we missing out here? So let me check that. First name, last name, phone, then email, then company ID. These are going to be imputed manually through the controller itself. Then we also have the user type, also the same thing. So we are not, things that we're not expecting values from are not going to have rules specifically. So, but the ones that are going to be passed in by the user are going to have rules for us to validate those ones. So also the password, which is the last area of the user. It's going to also be required. Let's just label required. Then we need a minimum character of 6. So I'm not sure about this area. We have something like this in Laravel. I don't know if it's also here in Adonisjs Vuejs. So I'm not going to try it out. If it doesn't work out, then we leave it as required. Then we'll bother about fixing the minimum characters in the Vuejs. So that's for that. So we have all our rules. The next thing we're going to do now, after getting the rules, is to actually fetch from the request the data from the request. After validating them, const, then we have company data, which is going to be equals to requests dot only, because I want to grab some particular specific details. Company name, then we also need the company email. We're also going to grab then company phone, yeah. Then also we're going to need the address of that company, then also the industry of that registered company. So I think 3, 4, 5. There are only 5 values for the company registration. Yeah, so that's all for the company data. The next thing we're going to do is to grab our user data. Normally what I usually do is at the top of every method I always define everything we're going to do within that method. So let's quickly do that for the index. Here we say get current logged in user. Then the next thing we did was to fetch just say user company. Yeah, then last thing we did was return back the response, which is here, like so. So for here, let me just quickly do that out. Then here we validate input from request, and after doing that, we fetch input from request. So after fetching the input from request, we're going to check. So in the registration, okay, for the registration, user is not going to be able to upload images, so we're not going to bother about images. So we're going to just instead of being bothered about image, here is, we're not validating here, we're setting the rules for, so sorry for the mistake. Here we are setting the validation rules which we are going to make use of. Then here we fetch the inputs from our request. Then here we validate. That's the importance of doing things like this, in order to avoid mistakes. Inputs, validate our inputs. Then after validating our inputs, we then update the database tables with new values. So let's just leave it at that. Then the last thing we return a response, like so. Yeah, just return a response. I think that should be all. So let's start from here, validating of the input. So here we're going to check if any of the validation rules fails. So we say validation dot fails, and inside of it we're going to return a response dot status 401, going to be 401, then dot json. Okay, I have an error here, I have to go back. Return response with JSON, almost made a mistake there as well. Then inside of that object, we're going to have a message to print back. I always do this. Company, sorry for my typing, company registration, field, then data. I don't know, this never prints out validation dot message. This is supposed to be what goes to the front end of Adonisjs Vuejs, but for here we're just going to print out this without the data. Then if I get any update concerning this, I'll let you guys know about it. So for now, we're just going to print out a message which says the this thing failed, actually, because I don't know how. I've tried printing out this in a previous application, like the validation message, which is supposed to be this data. Then it's supposed to have shown dot message like this, like so. This works when you're using the templating Edge template engine, which is using building applications, making use of the sessions, the normal Adonisjs installation. With that's not the API one, the normal installation. it allows you to, you print out your validation messages, then you see that in your views, then you're able to use those errors and display them. But in Vue.js, I've tried to, I think I've done this before, trying to use this, test it as an API, but it hasn't worked. But let's just leave it like this for now. Then as we move on, hopefully we'll make more research about that. So after that, we're going to automatically create the company first of all. So after creating the company, then we'll create the user. So to create the company, we say const, let's call it new company. Is there a need for, do we need, no, we don't need any variables for now, because we're not passing back any we're not passing back the company. So we just do await, then the company model, which we're going to import very soon, company.create. Then inside the create function, the create method, we're going to pass in the company data. So we say company data, so that way it's going to fill out every field which we fetched here. It's going to fill them out with the corresponding fields in the database. So where we have company name, is going to fill out the value for this. It's going to fill out that inside of the database company name field column. So that's the point of doing this. So we don't need to rewrite it out, but I'll show you that method very soon while we can fill these things out. So we've updated the company table, so company successfully created. Then from there we'll go ahead and create the user also. It's going to be await, then user model dot create. But before we move on, let's quickly import these models. We've imported the user models, duplicate that, import the company model like so. So we're done importing those. I don't know why company is declared but its value never used. That's surprising. I just use that now. I typed in company controller. Sorry guys. Supposed to be company only, company.create, then the company data. A lot of errors here. Company data. Yeah. So we are good to go. So this is going to create the company. Then in the user creates, because we're going to add in some more values manually, so we have to specify them. This is what the first one would do normally without having to write it out. So it's going to say we have our user data. Didn't we do that? Okay, we didn't fetch our user. So I was wondering why it's not part of the suggestion for VS Code. Right there. That's why I noticed that we didn't actually add the user data. User data is going to be equals to requests only. We're going to have first name, last name, then email, password, then what else? Your phone. Yeah. Hope you guys are following and understanding. If you have any question, please feel free to drop it in the comment section below. I'll be happy to respond back to you as soon as possible, to make sure you're following and you're able to go through this tutorial successfully to the end with me also. First name, last name, email, password, and phone. That's all we're going to need. First name, last name, phone, email, password. Yeah. So now that we have the user data, if we come here, we should get a suggestion for that data here, exactly like so. user data dot, and you can see we can find other values also in there, but what we need is the first name. Exactly. Then over here we see last name, which is going to be user data dot last name. Then here we have company ID, which is going to be user data dot, no, this is not going to be from the user data. Here we're going to need to actually fetch that company ID from our company info, newly created company info. So here, if you remember, right here we created the company, we didn't create a variable in front, so I think we're going to need that now. So we say new company, so it's going to be equal to our width. So the reason why we're creating this variable now is because we're going to need that variable to access the ID of that newly created company. So we see user data dot ID. So actually we are adding a new field into the user data object, so that object is going to collect the new company.id into it. So now we have access to this company ID inside user data method, inside this user data objects actually. So that right here we can now make use of company ID. We're going to have user data dot company ID, which is down here. So I hope you guys understand what we just did now. So after that, the next thing we need to input into the database is the email, which is going to be data.email, phone also, dot phone, and lastly, okay, password. Let's not forget our user type, which is going to be admin. Now we said we're going to add that manually, to do that like so, like admin, and you can create a constant if you want up and give it the value of admin, then come here and add that, but I don't want to do that, so it's your choice. So our first name, last name, the company ID correctly imported. So this company ID is going to, the user is going to be linked with the company that is being registered at the moment. So once that company gets into the database, it already has an ID. They will fetch that ID back. Then all these steps are going to happen in split seconds. So it's going to create a company, and once you create that company, inside the user data object, we're going to create the company ID in there, then fix this value, which is a new company dot the ID created, into the user data object. So right here we can now access that company ID through our user data object, then fill it in for the user, currently created user, alongside our company. So like this, now we're almost done with this. So now once this is created, we're going to return a response dot status 201. It's going to be successful dot JSON. Then inside all we need is a message that says company company created successfully. So that's all we're going to need in that response. So that's going to be all, which is going to be return of response. Let me quickly take that to the top here. Yeah, like so. So we have all that figured out. I know this is kind of a bunch, but it's something you're going to have to get used to. So first of all, we set the rules we're going to use for validation. Then we fetched all our values from the form data which we need. So we're only fetching what we need, we're not fetching more than what we need. So then input, validate the value, the data which we fetched. Once that is validated and successful, we update our database tables by creating a new company, fetching the newly created company ID, then adding that to create a new user, admin user by the side. So then we return our response. So that's going to be all. So now we're going to head back to our route and create an endpoint for that controller. It's going to be route dot post, because we're going to receive a request. I'm going to use company also, but this is going to be a post request going to where company controller dot store, the store method which we created now. So that's it for that. So in order for us to test this out, we are able to test. We should be able to test this out. So the first thing we're going to do now is to test out the post. After testing out the post, I will successfully create a new company and a user. Then we can get the user's particular company. So to do this, we need to open up Postman for this, which I have here. If you don't have Postman, quickly go ahead and get Postman. So what we're going to do is, let's quickly copy the link from this place. So you need to save your Adonis application for this to work, because it needs to connect to that URL for it to work. So we say slash company, which you remember, which is this right here. We are using this, which is going to be the endpoint route. So we say slash company. Then we want this to be a post request, select post. Then in the headers, all we need to do is say content type, which is going to be application.json format. Yeah, I think that's all the headers we're going to need. Then here we all we need is form data. So we're going to put in all the keys. Company underscore name. Let's call that route media, code route media. Name of our channel. Company underscore email. I'm just going to use my own email. .com. Then here we have company phone, which is going to be something random. So it can be any amount of string. That's why we said we didn't actually validate that. We'll do that, validate phone numbers and the rest in Vue.js. So company phone, company email, company name, industry, company industry, which is going to be, let's say, education. That's what it is, education. And lastly, the company, what is left? 3, 4, there's one more. Let's quickly check the address. The company address. I need to see 23 Magodo Estate, Lagos. Yeah, I think that's all. Then we need the user info, if you remember correctly, which is going to be the first name. So I'm going to make that my name. So let's call it Shegun. Then last name. Okay, sorry, that is wrong. Last underscore name. It's going to be Joshua. Then email. Said .com. Phone need to be okay. Going to be something random for now. Then lastly we have password. Say, let me just say good spot. So first name, last name, gender. Also we forgot to add gender to our rules, in fact, so which is also required from the database. Thank God we remember here, so we can quickly make that request. So gender, let's say male, and let's quickly change that from our backend here. It's not going to affect what we already added there. Do we have gender? No, we didn't remember gender. So also going to be a string, so just duplicate that. Yes. So I have rules for that. Then here we have to fetch that data. Gender also there. So now we have gender there. We also have to add that here. So you see gender. It's going to be user data dot gender. A comma here. Then okay, so all we need to do now is test our API and see if we get any errors or if we get that correctly from the start. So we send the request, should expect a response, which you got here, which is I think probably an error. So let's check that out correctly so we can know what the error is. Okay, it's a load slowly sometimes, but just have to wait for it. So validation is not defined. What do you mean by that? I'm coming. Okay, we're supposed to import the validator from here. Use the construction validate and equals to use validator. Yeah, let's put this up top above the rest. Validate. So I think that should work now. Validate. Okay, so let's see one more error down here. Before we display the error, we're supposed to actually validate them. So you say const, that is where our validation comes from. Validation equals to, then we say await, then validate, which we just imported, requests dot all, comma, then the rules, which we, so this should work now. So we validate all the request values using the rules, then Let's send the request again and see what happens. Okay, so we have our company successfully created. Our first backend code executed correctly. So the next thing we want to do now is to head over to our database. Let me quickly open mine. It's going to be SQL Workbench. Open that up, create a connection, then let's see if our fields are really inside our database, which is this. Let me put in my password. Then show tables. Then let's just do select or from. Let's see company table. We'll see the users tables too. Select all from companies. So as you can see, we have code route media here, then our emails, the number which we imported, the education, the address, logo and establishment date can be nullable as well. So we're also going to let's just copy this code here. Then here we get from users. We should have a user data there. Yeah, exactly. So we have the user we created, address, about those. Then we have the user type to be admin. As you can see, so this is logic behind creating a user, as you can see. So in the next tutorial, we're going to deal with I don't want this to be like up to an hour long. I don't know if that's something we should be doing. So if you want it to be longer than this, so we can finish these tutorials faster, let me know in the comments below. I just feel that making tutorials too long is going to be kind of boring. So I think let's just stop here for today. So here what we've done is to create. Okay, let's test out this method here, which we also created, which is supposed to fetch the currently logged in user. We've not yet done our login. Yeah, so we can't use this because we're using the auth and we have to be logged into to get that working. So we're going to fix our login in the next tutorial, which is going to be in the user controller. We'll fix the login. Then once we can log into as a user, then we can fetch the particular logged in user's company data. So that will be tested in the next video. But before we end our video, in our routes, I want to quickly make some corrections here to give it some style. So we're going to use the route group. So we're going to group our routes so to make it more arranged and defined. It's going to be this, like this. Then let's just copy this route like so. So then inside here, we're going to give it a prefix. Now I'll show you what that means in a bit. We're going to call it API version 1. That's what we want to use as our prefix. So what this means, this prefix means that before you have your endpoints, every route we have API / version 1 attached to it. If you know what I mean, attached to it before the actual route is being used. So here, in order to create this again, if we use this, it's going to give us a wrong. It's a route not found, which is correct. So here we're supposed to have API / version 1 / company. So that's going to actually create a company. So but let's just change this company name. Let's have 2 companies. Alright, there's been a mistake here. Where's the company name? I seem to find it. Company name. And let's just do this. Know what's going on with this. .com at gmail.com. Then the phone is going to be the same thing. It doesn't have to be unique. Then you can change this to Yaba Estate, Lagos. Then next thing here, we're going to have the actual company name. Call that. Then here, this email has to change unless we're going to get an error. So say at gmail.com, and let's say yeah, Mike. Then here will be Adenuga. Let me see adenuga@gmail.com. So this is fine. This should go correctly. So now that we have our route correctly created, so let's just send a request and see what we get. We have the second company created successfully. So in the next video, we're going to explore more of this. We're going to be working on, as you can see, we have the index store. So next video, we're going to try and beat the time to work on login routes. Then we're also going to work on the update route. So we are going to handle our image, which we're going to store in. We're going to store in our image in using a CDN platform called cloudinary.com. So this is where we're going to store our image. Then in the Vue.js front end, we're just going to fetch the link related to that particular user. So I'm just going to cut it here. So even if it loads, it doesn't load, we'll explore that in the next video. So thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate you taking out time to watch this video, and I hope you've learned a lot, and see you in the next video. Please don't forget to follow me on Instagram. My Instagram handle is down here, and also on Twitter. I'm going to follow back, so you can chat me up if you have any issues concerning what we're working on, and if you need more personal assistance, I'm always available to help. Thank you very much for watching. It's your boy Drop Code as always, and goodbye.